Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the channel today. So sort of an overcast day here today. It's going to be around 30 odd degrees I think, so I thought I'd get out and I'll go for a bit of a run on the Chariot here. So in case you're wondering, this is it, the Vespa 2023 model GTS 300. I actually call her Lisa, and the reason being you'll find out later on when we're riding around. So let's go. I've actually had a request from a sub and said why don't I show more on the scooter. So I thought I'd get out here and give you a bit of a run on it and tell you what the main problem is with this scooter, and I've had it now roughly about 3 months. So like I said, it's a 2023 Vespa GTS SuperSports. Now, what is wrong with one of these Vespas? Well, I suppose to get to the point, nice and sharp, there's nothing really wrong with the Vespa itself except the price. If you want to buy one of these, they're pretty expensive to buy, I think. And that bloke doesn't know how to stop. So, if you look at it, I've had this scooter now for around about, I think roughly 3 months. Now, they're not cheap here in Australia, they don't give them away, and you know, like, I think they run in now at $13,500 right away and no more to pay. Yeah, so overall the Sports 350 is not a bad scooter, about $3,000 cheaper than the Vespa, and one good thing about a 40, you could say, it's got good power and it's got excellent brakes, but when it comes to the crunch, I don't think it's as fun to ride as a Vespa. Regardless, it's 3,000 cheaper or not. So, and the other thing is, the other one I've had riding around would be the X-Max 300. Again, pretty good scooter, around about 3,000 cheaper than this, but again, not as much fun. So when you look at the options are out there, what you can buy, and I've had 3 X-Maxes and 1 Forza in the 300cc range. I've gone up to, you know, like a little bit extra for one of these, and thoroughly enjoyed the experience. So overall, these are a good ride. Surprisingly, it takes a little bit to get used to the 12-inch wheels, but after a while, you know, you sort of get used to a little bit of a more movement around compared to an actual motorbike of what you would say, something around 1917, 1918 combo in the wheels. This new 2023 model rides a bunch really good, and like I said, I've put up now 2,070 kilometres on it, and overall I think it is a big improvement on the 2023 model compared to previous Vespa scooters. Well, this is what I'm led to believe, because I've never ridden those other particular scooters, even though I rode a few of the other bikes that sell. In the X-Max range, you can tell a little bit of difference between model. I haven't experienced what they talk about on the earlier model Vespas, where they got into a little bit of wobble and at times like that. I've never experienced any wobble with this new one, but the new model has got the more better quality suspension or front end, and the only thing I find about it, they were just a little bit more, with the 12-inch wheels, a little bit more wobbly to ride compared to an actual motorbike. But suspension-wise, riding over bumps and things like that, yeah, it handles that quite well. Power-wise, really good power-wise too. Like I said, not as powerful as the Forza 350, but it's got some get up and go if you want to get behind it. So there's no drama there. Power, keeps up with the traffic, out along the road, runs at 100 kilometres, no trouble whatsoever. Good to see out the mirrors, no vibration, and brake-wise, I don't think the brakes are what you'd call crash up, but you know, they're adequate for what you want and you get used to it. So overall, you know, the display itself is easy to read, no trouble there. It's also got dual channel ABS and traction control. Storage wise isn't as good as what's on the Honda or the X-Max, so this is a little bit down on storage, but it also picks up a bit of heat under the under storage seat area. So that's a bit of a bummer in some ways, because compared to the other ones, you notice the difference there. Plus there's no light in case you're going out at night time and you want to have a look up into your seat, pick something out. There's no light under there to help you see what's going on. But, you know, you can't win them all, and the fact is, if you want to buy a Vespa, I always thought once they were a little bit on the overpriced side and maybe not worth buying. But after I experienced one and ride around on one for a couple of thousand kilometres, I can see the charm to them, and they are a sort of a bit of a charming looking bike, and people like the idea of coming up and having a look at it and seeing it's a Vespa. Now to date I've had no real trouble with Lisa, apart from the fact that her name is Moaning Lisa, and the meaning that she is a Moaning Lisa is every time I take it on the long run and pull up, after I walk away from it a few seconds later, she starts groaning. Now I don't know if that's groaning that she wants to go back out on another ride or not, but after it goes for 5 or 10 minutes, you know, it's a sort of a horrible thing, the way it carries on. It's a pity they couldn't have fixed something in that line. Now the only way I can really stop that, or two ways, there's some sort of a valve underneath near the petrol tank, which once removed, that got rid of it. And the other thing is, when you come back from a ride, if she starts moaning, undo the gas cap and keep it off until the pressure in the tank sort of regulates and just go back down to a normal sort of pressure, and after that Lisa is pretty quiet. So the riding position, we'll get onto that one, the riding position overall is not bad on this. You know, you've got a good view around you, and I think the seat height up around that 30 odd inch mark, and you know, I do like the fact that it's a fairly easy little nimble scooter to ride, except like I said earlier, you've got to get used to those 12-inch wheels. But if you can live with that side of it, riding a scooter with small wheels, you'll get used to the fact that it's a fun. Another useless prick with no indicators. Sometimes on a Sunday morning it's a bad time to get out and ride around because all the idiots are out, and that's why I do a lot of me riding all through the week and stay away from in-town riding at weekends, because for some reason the nutcases come out. Look at them all here at the coffee shop today. This is a very popular place here. They're earning a few bucks today, so it's good to see everybody happy there and drinking that coffee at $5 a hit. Would I pay $5 for a coffee? I think I've got to be desperate. I don't want a coffee that bad. I'd rather convert that $5 into, say, I don't know, $5, 2.5 litres of petrol. I think I could get more fun out of the petrol than what I could out of the coffee. So one thing about this one, I've never tried this bike yet, running it with traction control off. It seems to have as much get up and go with traction control on, and they do say sometimes these Vespas run that much better with traction off, like more power, but a little bit more risk involved too. So the fact is, if you've got traction control, you might as well use it. Cost you nothing to use, so it's there. Same as with the ABS. I was asked once, would I take this on the dirt roads like I take the Antwerps, and the good answer would be, or good honest answer would be, definitely not. I've got no interest in taking this dirt road running because, you know, I just don't think as a proposition for me to get out there and run dirt road with the risk of something going wrong, and I've got to take a 500 kilometres back to a dealer for his stupidity. Now, if I really want to run dirt roads, let's just say pick a bike. So, you know, there's no reason to take this one out, and because I'm so far from the dealer, you know, you've got to show a bit of common sense, and seeing it's not my only ride, you know, I got options. So if you've got no options, you might want to run it. I mean, if I went along the road and the road was a couple hundred metres of dirt to get to the other side, yeah, I'd do it. But if you see what I take it out, where I've taken some of these other ones into those rough hill areas and stuff like that, that would definitely be a no. It's just too big of a hassle, too far from the dealer, and, you know, in theory, why would you be silly enough to go out there just to get a few hundred YouTube clicks? Just not worth it. So we're going to go out along the road now. I'm going to go and just run along at 80 kilometres an hour in the 80 zone there, and just goes to show you one good thing about it too, it pulls the hill so easy, so it's got plenty of get up and go. It'll cruise at 80, 100, faster if you want to, and, you know, it just does everything well. If you said, you know, you're at the stage where your motorcycle career is sort of over and you just want something a little bit more compact, something you can run to the shops with, and you know, enjoy your life on the bike that way, I think this is suited. It's a big question is whether you want to pay the money to ride one of them, because you can get on a you can get an X-Max, or you can get on a Horta and do everything better. But I must admit, even though I told you these ones run the bumps well, compared to the like the X-Max or the Horta, you know, this is like a Rolls Royce compared to them as far as riding bumps. Like especially that Horta, those Horta 350s are out like crap. I must admit, I would have kept the Horta, only the suspension was that bad. I decided I want to get rid of the bit of junk. And take into account I only buy new bikes, so we're not talking about somebody's worn out piece of rubbish I bought. Poor old dead magpie there. So here we go on here now, into a headwind, 80 kilometres an hour, absolutely no trouble at all, and very little throttle. So it just does everything so easy. Very hard to beat, I think. So that's what I like about it. I can go out along the road, I can cruise along at 80, I can rev it up to 100, and it'll pull the hills with no trouble at all. It's just a really good bike. In actual fact, if I had to come to the crunch and you said, could I just live with owning a scooter? Yeah, I could. And but I don't have to, but I could. So I'll just make that clear. And you know, like some people don't like the chrome on the handlebar side. You know, I couldn't care less. I don't ride the chrome, I ride the bike. Or should I say I ride Lisa. But, you know, everything else is really good on it. It's a great little starter. You never have any trouble. Controls are alright. Like I said, runs along there at 80. I could go out and do a 100 zone run, but you're probably not watching it now anyway, so I'd be only going for my own entertainment. So we'll swing around here and I'll swing back to the home channel. I'll run up along here. I think I've covered everything on 2,000 kilometres ride review. You know, whether or not, if you were on the fence and what would you knock on one of these bikes, and I think the only thing I can really knock is the price, and I got no complaints about the price, but you know, some people hear the price when I tell them, and I can have a really good motorbike for that price. Well, in my case, I can have a really good motorbike and I can have the Vespa too, so I don't really care. So when you look at it that way, there's no drama. Look at those, what do they call them, bin chickens there, those ibis along the road. They fly from the local dump over there, eat here and then hang around. So if you ask me, well, what about long distance touring on this? Yeah, well, I reckon the only thing I'm thinking of later on, I might get a windscreen for it. That could come in handy. And I'd like to get one of those rear racks, and I might even get a front rack for it. I don't know, it's sort of just something that, you know, goes with the Vespa image. And, you know, I think that idea wouldn't be too bad, but if you asked, could you get on this and do high kilometres, or, you know, I honestly believe you could ride this around Australia if you want to, providing you're not out there hitting dirt roads or crap like that. you know, you'll probably have someone comment and say, yeah, it'll ride anywhere. Well, they might want to ride anywhere, but like I said, I've got options, so I don't really have to, you know, get desperate enough to say this is all I can do. So the best thing about it, I'll give you a good honest review on the scooter, I should say, good honest review, and tell you what I think. It's all right. Now, I've had no issues with it starting or coming out and kicking it over and getting it running. Kicks over first time every time. Petrol or economy wise, I haven't taken much notice of that, because I'm not really a petrol head that worries about what I get to the litre on a motorcycle. And the reason being, over the years I've had some very hungry cars, and you know, there are times when I get on YouTube and these people want to know, well, what's it like on petrol? And I'm thinking, Jesus, you're on a friggin' motorbike and you're worried about petrol. Why don't you just buy a push bike and walk? You know, like, how much do you want out of it? But, you know, I just fill it up, ride it, get onto something else and ride that too. That's a nice 70s model Celica. I always wanted one of those Celicas when they were brand new, and they were around about, I don't know, $3,500, which was a fair bit of money, considering you could buy a new Valiant Charger for about $3,200. So never got into it. So that was a really rough bump I went over then, and sure, you went over it and you felt the bump itself, but it didn't come up and belt you through the spine or anything like that. It was just a bump you hit and you went over it, like that one there too. So overall, this sort of handles that sort of hard knocks with this new suspension. And you know, if you got there and said, oh, would it handle suspension as good as a motorbike? Well, it would handle it better than some motorbikes, because I've been on some really crap new bikes, and some of them, like this, even on 12-inch reels, will run over those bumps better than those bigger bikes on the bigger wheels with crappy suspension. So, you know, it's just horses for courses, which one you want to go for, and whether or not you like the idea of riding around on a scooter. And when we're speaking about riding around on a scooter, once upon a time, it wasn't that long ago, I really hated the idea of riding a scooter. I mean, I bought the first one, I think it was X-Max 300, and then I bought the Forza to run against it, and I really found when I got on either one of them that I just didn't want to be on a scooter. So it took me a while to acquire a taste to be able to get there and say, yeah, I don't mind the ride experience. And now I couldn't care less who sees me riding this scooter around, where before I had a bit of an image problem, thinking I don't want to be caught on a scooter. So I think overall, like with everything, time changes for everybody, and in the end you sort of get there and say to yourself, oh yeah, things aren't too bad, or not as bad as I actually thought they were to begin with. And after you get the riding around on the scooter and you get the enjoyment and the thrill and how easy it and how nimble and how relaxed and twist and go, you'll get there and say to yourself, it's really not a bad life on a scooter. So that's about all I can tell you on that side on a 2,000 kilometre review on this bike. I did the oil filter changes and that myself on the first service. That was a little bit challenging, but you know, nothing to get too excited about. But it's not as straightforward as you think. But overall, I'm looking for many more pleasurable kilometres on the bike. So I hope you found this 2000k interesting, and that sort of sorts out the guy who wanted to know how come I haven't been out in the Vespa for a while, and could I do a review on it for what I'm up to date. So the party's over now. I just pull up here, put her out the back, and bye for now.